Good afternoon. My name is Daryl Koehn. I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for Business and Professional Ethics at DePaul University, where I'm also a full professor in the philosophy department, and I hold the Wicklander Chair in Business Ethics. You've asked me, how did I become involved in the Society for Business Ethics? I was hired back in 1981 to teach philosophy at DePaul University. And I didn't have a lot of background in business ethics, although I did have background in ethics. So I was talking with Pat Ware-Hain, who at that point was at Loyola University, and she encouraged me to get involved with SBE and to begin to submit some papers to this Business Ethics Quarterly. So I attended my first conference back in 1991, and I had such a good time and found the folks there so congenial that I decided SBE would be my professional home. I do think there are many kind and generous people in the organization, and I've made new friends among the next generation of scholars. Indeed, perhaps my proudest achievement in SBE has been starting the Emerging Scholars Program years ago with the help of Pat Ware-Hain and Laura Hartman. So there you have the reasons why I've stayed involved with SBE. I've also been involved with BEQ as a submitter and as a reviewer for many years. I've always been impressed by the high quality of the paper submissions. I particularly enjoy the more philosophical focus that we have on some of the BEQ papers. I had a desire to build the profession, and I thought that you can't really have a serious profession unless you have research that is well vetted and publicized. So BEQ has allowed me to make a contribution to the profession. And I appreciate BEQ's openness to different points of view. I don't think they have quite as pronounced take on certain issues, ethical issues and political issues, as do some other journals. You've also asked me to comment on what I think the most interesting things are that are going on now at SBE. Frankly, I think there's so many interesting strands that I wouldn't want to rank or prioritize those developments, but a couple of things strike me personally as especially interesting. I think there is significant ongoing and deepening interest in virtue ethics as an alternative to deontology, utilitarianism, and stakeholder theory. So I would expect that we would continue to see that ongoing interest. I think that the increasing number of arguments around moral markets is stimulating some very provocative responses. There were some great presentations on moral markets at this year's SBE. I also think what we're going to see is an increasingly robust debate about so-called political CSR. What is it? Is it legitimate? And is it necessary? And I think since SBE has its pulse on what's going on in the field of business ethics, I think that those three hot topics would also be key topics in the field of business ethics. So perhaps the hardest question you asked me is whether if there were one thing I could tell SBE members today, what would that be? And I guess I would just say, keep coming to the annual meetings. If you can really connect with just one person per meeting, then after 10 years, you have 10 friends and acquaintances that you can look forward to seeing. I would say ideas are valuable, but friendships are even more so. Thank you, and thank you very much for the Lifetime Service Award at this year's SBE.